In our next unit, we will be learning about quadrilaterals. A quadrilateral is a four-sided polygon. There are 5 different types of quadrilaterals. There are parallelograms, rectangles, rhombi, kites, and squares. You will learn each of their properties and how to use them to solve for missing sides and angles. The first type of quadrilateral I want to talk about is a parallelogram. A parallelogram is a quadrilateral where both pairs of opposite sides are parallel. So up here where we have opposite sides, we're going to write that these are parallel. So what that means is that this side and this side is parallel, and also this side and this side are parallel. So the ones opposite of one another are parallel. Another property that a parallelogram holds is that their opposite sides are congruent. So we also want to write they're congruent. So that means this side and this side is equal, and this side and this side is equal. Another property that a parallelogram has is that opposite angles are congruent as well. So when we're looking at opposite angles, we're looking at opposite corners. So that means that this angle and this angle is congruent, and then this angle and the one opposite here are also congruent. The fourth property that a parallelogram holds is that their consecutive angles are supplementary, or they add to 180. So it's been a while since we talked about consecutive. Consecutive are these angles that are in the corners together. So this angle plus this angle should add to 180. Also, this angle plus this angle should add to 180. The last property that a parallelogram holds is that their diagonals bisect each other. So diagonals go from one corner to the other. So if I was to draw a diagonal or two diagonals in this parallelogram, they would bisect each other. And remember, bisect means that they cut in half. So if this bisector cuts this one in half, that means that this piece and this piece is congruent. This diagonal also cuts this piece in half, which means this piece is congruent to this piece. So, given all of these properties, that means we can use these in order to solve for sides and angles. So let me give you some formulas that will help you solve for sides and angles. So if we're looking at sides, what's going to be helpful here is that our opposite sides will be equal. So basically, when you're solving for sides, you set them equal. Then, for angles, when we're looking at opposite angles, that means that our angles, our opposite angles, are equal. So again, you're going to set them equal. Now, if we're talking about consecutive angles are going to add to 180. So anytime we're dealing with consecutive angles, we want to add to 180. Or this plus this equals 180. And then lastly, when dealing with diagonals, since the diagonals bisect each other, that means that two things are true. First, part will equal part on one of the diagonals, so this part would equal this part, or this part would equal this part, and second, 2 times our part would equal the whole. So if this was 6, because that's the same, I know that 2 times 6 would give us this length, which would be 12. So, make sure you have these properties written down